Game week 2 is over. It finished with Arsenal disappointing across the whole with our FPL assets. A lot of us now have 2 free transfers in the bank and a lot of players in our starting 11 looking at those Manchester United assets that are not performing at the level we want. So today I'm going to take you through my top 5 players to buy across defenders, midfielders and forwards that you should be considering for your FPL teams going into FPL Game Week 3. What is up everyone, FPL Harry here, and today it is my usual weekly top 5 players to be buying into your FPL team. 5 players that I would buy into my own team that I think you should be considering buying into your teams as well. 1,000 likes on the video is always the aim. Subscribe if you are new around here as well. If you like the data taken during all of these videos, the data is taken from Fantasy Football Scout, the best one-stop shop for everything you could possibly need Fantasy Premier League. So do check out the link in the description if you want to get a discount as well. Let's dive straight into the video. The number 1 pick, the man that seems to be filling in the void of Kevin De Bruyne, is Phil Foden. 7.5 million for him and still under 10% owned is a really good differential, I think, looking at those next 5 Manchester City fixtures. They are so good. They will of course have some Champions League to play, but at the moment it does look like Phil Foden is going to be playing in that Kevin De Bruyne role. He looked really good in game week 2 when he did it. Of course he picked up maximum bonus points despite only getting an assist in that game because of how creative he was. Now his actual data, he's had 12 points, only 6 per 90. He's played 2 full 90 minutes, which is quite a lot to be said for Phil Foden. His underlying data though is looking really nice, expected to get at least 0.5 attacking returns per 90 as well. So I really like him. One I'm definitely considering bringing into my team as a Bruno Fernandes replacement. Next up, we continue, and it is a man that was in last week's video as well, and it is Bryan Mbeumo. If you do not own him yet, he's still a top transfer target for you. Look at the fixtures. Crystal Palace, Everton and Bournemouth at home in their next 3 fixtures. Nottingham Forest in there as well. Bryan Mbeumo looks so good as an FPL asset. He's got 1.63 expected goals per 90. Now, you're probably already typing, you're probably commenting, well, Harry, that's because he's on penalties. If you take away the penalties, his expected goals per 90 is still 0.84. Plus the 0.14 expected assists. He still averaged an open play attacking return in both of the 2 games that he's played so far this season. He's averaging over 10 points per start. Now that is not sustainable, but look at the fixtures. They of course have no Europe, so when that starts around game week 5 or 6, you're not going to have that headache with him. He's 6.5 million. He is a midfielder as well. Brentford will be keeping clean sheets this season, so we get an extra point for a goal, an extra point for a clean sheet as well there with Bryan Mbeumo. I think it's a no-brainer. I feel like he could be a season-long hold, the way he's performing, the way he's sort of filling Ivan Toney's shoes. Next up is the defender in here, and I've gone with Udogie of Spurs, who's 4.5 million at the moment and 2.5% owned. The next 3 fixtures is finally time to be looking at Spurs. We've seen them play game weeks 1 and 2, and Udogie is the one that I'm looking at. He's in my draft, and I think you should be considering him for yours. Bournemouth away, Burnley away, Sheffield United at home in their next 3. Plus, of course, they kept a clean sheet against Manchester United in game week 2. Now, maybe there should have been a penalty, but outside of that, they didn't let Manchester United create too many chances. The attacking threat from him is not bad as well, averaging over 0.1 expected attacking returns per 90 minutes that he's on the pitch, which for a defender is pretty decent. So 1 clean sheet for him, and then of course they did concede in game week 1 to Brentford. Now, between him and Rico Henry, it is pretty close. Rico Henry has, however, gone up to 4.6 million. So some of you will be looking at transfer combinations which will leave you with only a 4.5 defender that you are able to afford. And if that's the case, Udogie is definitely your man. If you can go for any of the 2, maybe you've got 5 million for defender, Rico Henry versus Udogie is really close. There are a lot of Brentford players that I would be considering buying at the moment. I still favour Udogie though, just because I want a piece of that Spurs team. Talking of Brentford, Wissa, the man that is playing up front alongside Bryan Mbeumo, is on fire as well this season. 6.1 million only as a forward, 10.3% owned, averaging over 1 expected goal per 90 and then low expected assist. But of course, it doesn't take into account when you win an assist from winning a penalty, which of course he did in game week 2. Again, a reminder, the fixtures for Brentford look so nice. Crystal Palace, Bournemouth, Everton at home in 3 of their next 4 games. If you have a João Pedro in your team, if you are looking for a cheap forward, Johan Wissa is definitely the number one pick you should be going for. We'll talk about Jackson in just a moment because he's 7 million. If you have the money to go up there, it's a much bigger punt. Wissa feels like a much more reliable, predictable pick. The fixtures are there, the form is there. Jackson has the fixtures, he definitely doesn't have the form. So if you want to go bold, then listen to me talk about Jackson. But if you want a safe pick at a great price, Wissa is your man. And finally, it is Jackson, 7 million and still reasonably low owned. Ownership has been fluctuating over the past couple of days because people sold him when he blanked in game week 2. Then they started bringing them back in. They brought him in early in the game week as well. So it's gone up and down. A lot of it is based off of those Chelsea fixtures. A little reminder, of course, all the data in all these videos does come from Fantasy Football Scout. Do check them out if you do like stats, videos, articles, however you want to consume FPL content. But Jackson's really interesting. I've never thought I'd recommend a player who's averaged 1 point per 90 minutes so far this season. However, the underlying data is pretty good. 0.67 expected goals per 90 plus. He might take penalties now that Enzo Fernandez did miss in game week 2. We still don't know the sort of priority order. Enzo might keep them, but it wasn't a great penalty and it is realistic that he might lose them. And Jackson, just being a striker, might decide that he wants to take them. There is a bit of risk with him. However, if you're going to take a punt on a player, you want the fixtures to look like they do there. So, right, we've bought Chilwell. A lot of us own Chilwell because of this. Jackson is the next hot property at Chelsea. Luton, Forest, Bournemouth, Fulham, Burnley, plus Aston Villa in their next 6 is like the best run of fixtures we're ever going to get for Chelsea or any forward over the course of the season. If you're chasing rank, great, definitely go for him. If you are considering a punt, I really like him. He's currently in my transfer plans. If you haven't watched my transfer plans video from yesterday, click the link above now to go and watch that video. But I'm considering Jackson and I really think you should as well. So those are my top 5 players to buy. It is still heavily focused on Brentford. Plus, of course, we have Jackson in here. We have Phil Foden. And if you need a cheap defender, it's probably Udogie, unless you have the little bit of extra money and you could possibly go with Rico Henry. Those are 5 players to buy. Let me know if you own any of them already. Are you going to be buying any of them into your team as well? And drop in the comments down below, how many points did you finish on in game week 2. Thank you all for watching. Massively appreciate the support. Make sure you've liked the video. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel as well. We're trying to hit 76,000 by the game week 3 deadline. There will be a team selection video and a deadline stream later this week. Thank you all for watching, and I'll be back again very soon.